And welcome back to Talking Law TV. And we're here with Doug Andrews. Hi, Doug.
Howdy.
And we're going to talk about alimony and child support.
Interesting topics.
Well, they both sound very expensive.
They can be both lawyer fees and what you have to pay.
Well, on a previous show, we talked about how to, when it's right, to try to save a marriage. Let's look at, if you go ahead and go with a divorce, what's the expense to get divorced?
Where do I begin? Most folks are immediately concerned with, on the one hand, how do I keep my ship afloat, in the typical case that being the wife, now going to try and survive without her husband's income into the joint checking account. Husband's question is, well, how much do I have to pay the nag, because that's all she's been, and I have to survive too. So you've got automatic competing interests, because two cannot live as cheap separate as they can together.
Are you running across situations now where it's the woman paying the man?
Well, interestingly, until 1979, Georgia law provided alimony only for the woman. That was held unconstitutional as a denial of equal protection. Is this a great country or what? So now it's equal opportunity. And yes, I have had cases where mom was the primary breadwinner and husband was a stay-at-home dad, and reverse role is he's due to be supported just like in the normal case the wife would be.
Now, in those states that have allowed gay marriages, do you think when they get down the road to where these aren't good, they're going to be alimony for those as well?
You betcha. One thing Georgia has not done, though, is go with the palimony business. Remember palimony?
With Lee Marvin.
Where they lived together and they had this supposed contract. It was like marriage, but because Georgia has killed common law marriages that are formed on or after 1997, now there's no common law marriage. Prior to 97, still, if you have a common law marriage that began prior to that, it's a marriage for all purposes. But after 97, because the relationship would be what the law calls meretricious, or not moral or legal, you're not going to get a palimony claim approved, because it would be to do an illegal thing.
What's the legal definition of alimony?
Legal definition. I like the common one, which is
Okay.
the screwing you get for the screwing you got.
I don't think that's the legal one.
No. Alimony is that which is necessary to keep the spouse that's seeking it, to keep them in the support level that they enjoyed during the marriage. They should be kept at the same level after divorce. Well, that's not really practical, but that's what we shoot for. Alimony comes from a Latin term meaning to nourish, to furnish the necessities of life. Not a luxurious lifestyle, but basically enough to survive on. And there are two flavors of alimony, permanent and temporary. Most courts now will tend toward the temporary kind of alimony, to get the spouse back on his or her feet, get him a job, get him some training if they need training before a job, but teach them to fish, in other words, instead of just giving them fish every week. So that's the temporary alimony. Permanent alimony would be, maybe they've just been a housewife all their lives, and this is a 30-year marriage or a 50-year marriage, and isn't really able to go out and get a job. They could get lifetime alimony.
Okay, and then child support is?
Child support is that amount of money the state of Georgia believes that one parent should pay the other parent to support the child, because both parents have an equal obligation of support for their children. And either judge or jury is going to decide how much child support that is. But let me mention one thing about alimony, if I go back to that for just a second. Compare alimony to equitable division of property in the divorce. Equitable division, who gets the house, for example, they bought during the marriage, is going to be divided on property division rules for equitable division, what's fair and proper. Alimony doesn't have to be marital property. It could be the entire estate. It could include inheritances, whatever. It's based upon one spouse's need and the other spouse's ability to pay. That's what alimony is.
And what are the guidelines, when we went back to child support, what are the guidelines for child support exactly?
They're complicated. It used to be pretty simple cookbook formula. One kid, look in the book, 17 to 23%. Next. That was it. And you could adjust for a few things here and there. Now it's much more sophisticated. It tries to consider what, for example, the wife's income is. Let's say it's $40,000. And what's the husband's income? Let's say $60,000 for a total of $100,000. And then they look in some charts, and all this is on computer now. The spreadsheets will do it for you. But you plug in 3 kids at $100,000 family income. Just pick a number. Let's say $30,000 is what the chart says annually to raise the kids. So of that $30,000, mom's going to pay 40%, dad's going to pay 60%, with all kinds of adjustments, tons of adjustments for daycare, travel costs, extracurricular activities, medical needs. You can adjust up and down that figure based upon recognized, call them exceptions.
Okay, and these are state guidelines based on the income, and there's no working around those?
The judge has the final say. Unless it's a jury trial, then the jury does. But most people let the judge make the final call. But usually by time you have all of the financial data, and it's very complicated now, please don't drive our judges nuts by trying to go in there representing yourself, because you're going to have Excel spreadsheets that have to be filled out. You have to understand what the terms are. So don't try it alone. The lawyers will be more than worth their money to help you get a fair judgment, both from mom or dad's perspective. But the judge makes the final call considering all the factors. They can adjust as necessary to be fair and what will work.
Okay, well, thank you, Doug. If you think you have a question that concerns alimony or child support and you'd like to ask Doug, you can go through our website at talkinglawtv.com or leave it our toll-free number at 888-203-7LAW, or text message us through our mobile website at m.talkinglawtv.com. We'll be back with more right after this.